Rich Rising, it's day 143 of 365, and today's message is let's set some ground rules. If you are a teenager and someone over 20 is approaching you, don't be flattered. Don't be flattered. Do not be flattered at all. In fact, it should signal to you a red flag. Like, why is someone over 20 approaching a teenager? And I know there'll be loads of dispute about this, and I don't care. Ground rules, okay? And it's like, obviously, if you don't like it, you can scroll on. You don't have to listen to what I say, or hear other people's advice. But understand this: the one thing that is absolutely disgusting is to prey on young people. And whilst it might not be so much about age, because of course there are some people who have greater intelligence and greater emotional maturity than people who are older in age. Like, that's a fact. The reality is, it's about experience. And unfortunately, something that does come along with people with age is experience. People have more experience than you. And so, someone above 20 going near a teenager, and specifically the earlier years of teenagehood, it's just weird. And that's the thing, it needs to be called out for what it is. There's too much pandering to everyone at the moment. It's like, yeah, there's this whole thing about gender wars and whatever else, and it's like, it's bigger than that. It's really, really bigger than that. Like, it's as deep as, like, you're actually going out of your way to harm someone. And so you need to start thinking about the why. And it's like, how, I don't even know if people that do this, people who sexually assault people, can be rehabilitated. I think it's important to understand for themselves where it's stemming from. Like, where does it stem from? How does that develop in you to make you think that that's okay? And then if we're going beyond that, people who are above 20 move into teenagers, like, it's not okay. It's really, really not okay. And it's like, again, as I said yesterday, the matter is about the implications. And it seems to be like that's the one thing that's completely ignored. Completely ignored. Even with the most recent cases, like the one in Southampton, and even the stuff that's happened in London recently, it's like, because there's no fear, enforced fear around these behaviours, people think that it's acceptable and okay to do, but it's just disgusting and it's shameful. And perhaps that's the problem. You're not around enough people that are shaming you. I don't know, once upon a time, man them used to, like, you could look to the man them to with respect and know that you could trust them. And I say that, obviously that's not true, unfortunately, of everyone, and that's the reality of it. Like, I experienced rape from someone close, someone's brother, and so I completely understand the betrayal in terms of, like, it not being from a stranger or anything like that. And again, the implications, like, we're so ignorant. It's like, but we have to get to, before we even get to the implications, we need to get to the root of what drives a human being to do that. What sickliness is in you that makes you think that that's okay? And also, like, why would you want to go near an underdeveloped human being? It's just bizarre. And I don't know, maybe people aren't having these conversations, and that's probably part of the problem, because people potentially don't feel safe to have the conversations. And because they're not having the conversations, they then end up around sickly people that are encouraging them. And that, to me, is negative encouragement. If you're around someone who's encouraging you to do harmful things, or you know, is in line with you, maybe you're on the same wavelength, sorry, it's a problem. It really, really is a problem. But anyway, other ground rules, as I've said 1,000 times on here, leading with sex. Anyone who leads with sex or is lustful towards you, stay away from them. Anyone who makes it evidently clear that all they're interested in is how you look and are attracted to you based on your looks, stay away from them. Anyone that you give time to who tries to coerce you into doing sexual things that you're not interested in. And you might ask, well, how do I know if I'm not interested in? You'll know in your heart. Like, you'll feel uncomfortable. You won't want to carry out whatever you're doing. And it shouldn't be that, oh, you put aside your wants and needs and your boundaries. You shouldn't put your boundaries aside to satisfy someone. Let them go somewhere else. Another thing that's really sickly in society is that people will encourage you, entice you, and coerce you to do things, and then have the audacity to try and drag your name through the mud when it was them in the first place that were encouraging you to behave in a certain way or to do things in a certain place or whatever it is. It's just a very sick mentality, and obviously it's been sick for a long time. And so what can actually be done? Well, people who have these kind of mentalities should be seeking help. And obviously, again, I think the stigma around it is that if they seek help, then are they going to be negatively dealt with? You know, but at the end of the day, it comes back to that thing again about self-love and the importance of self-love, because when you love yourself, you're able to be honest. And I think a lot of issues in humanity stem from our failure to be able to be honest, you know. And actually that also starts in your home, around your family. Like, I understand that it would be very sickening if your child ever came to you one day and said, "Rah, they have these kind of thoughts," and whatever else. But best that they tell you their thoughts and put it out in the open, and then at the very least you can get help, because hopefully they're not so unwell that they try and harm you, God forbid. But if people are able to vocalize these things, then that's when you can intervene. The problem is we're trying to constantly intervene after the fact, and the damage is done. Like, sexual assault isn't something that just goes away. And even though it goes away in a sense of, if you're fortunate enough, you don't need to think about it every day. If you're able to go through therapy, EMDR, all of these things to release it, then hopefully you can get to a point where it's like, it's not every moment of every day that you have this thing in your mind that you're reminded of. But the ignorance comes in when we think that the smallest things can trigger someone. So, for example, when it's hot days, the clothes that you wear, because society has made it that the clothes people wear mean that people want something, it makes you paranoid. It makes you uncomfortable in yourself. Like, the implications are massive, and I could do a whole video on implications alone, because it's important. And I think the way we start looking at these things has to change in order to actually curate real change in the world. Because the most important question you've got to be asking is, why don't you care? These girls could be your sister, your friend, your aunt, your mum, your niece, whatever it is. So it's like, the care obviously isn't loud enough. Like, people's anger isn't loud enough, but also the fear. There's not enough fear in people to let them know that they shouldn't be doing these things. And, you know, maybe you are so sick in your head. You know, I think sickness is another thing that we have such a lack of awareness for, like, in true depth and understanding, for real. Because sickness is deep. And so, yeah, some of the stuff that I've seen, like, just yesterday on TikTok alone is so heartbreaking. And it's heartbreaking to think that people are being treated so lightly after the things that they do, because the repercussions for the people that they harm are life-changing and in the worst possible way. So it's really, 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 really of extreme importance that, you know, you're protecting innocent people, you're protecting girls, you're protecting boys, you know, protect boys as well. Like, it shouldn't be applauded that young boys are getting with older women. Like, it shouldn't be applauded. It's weird. Vice versa, it's weird, you know. So, as I said, ground rules. If you're 20, if you're in your teenage years, especially your early teenage years, and someone above 20 is trying to come near you, I mean, even above 15, Like, you don't need to be involved in all of that stuff. Stay focused on yourself. Like, learn to love yourself before you allow anyone near you. And you know, I can't guarantee that will keep you safe, of course not. But you have better wits about you. Like, you deserve your own love, and you deserve to be cherished.